Breaking tonight, tensions rising between the United States and the one country in the Middle East that has been our strongest and most important ally. Tonight, the Kelly File is at the heart of this story. Welcome, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. For the last 24 hours, we have seen a mounting series of attacks by Obama administration officials on the newly re-elected leader of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. The fight between the president and the prime minister pushing out almost all other news today. And in the middle of this, Mr. Netanyahu today sat down with us. Now, it is no secret that these two leaders have not always seen eye to eye. Still, the American-Israeli relationship is critical for both sides, which makes it all the more perplexing that after the news broke this morning, from the interview you are about to see, as well as from other public remarks Mr. Netanyahu made today, the White House rejected an apparent olive branch. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel now, in one of his first interviews since his re-election. Congratulations, sir, on a very big win. Let's get right to it. In 2009, you said you supported a peace deal that would recognize a Palestinian state, but the day before Tuesday's election, you completely reversed that. Why?
I didn't retract any of the things that I said in my speech 6 years ago, calling for a solution in which a demilitarized Palestinian state recognizes a Jewish state. I said that the conditions for that today are not achievable for a simple reason. Abu Mazen, the leader of the Palestinians, rejects consistently the acceptance of a Jewish state. He's made a pact with the Palestinian terrorist organization Hamas that calls for our destruction. And the conditions in the Middle East have changed to the point where any territory you withdraw from is immediately taken up by Iranian-backed terrorists or by ISIS. It's only a dozen miles away from us, ISIS. It's thousands of miles away from you. So the conditions are that we would vacate territory, and that instead of getting a two-state solution, we could end up with a no-state solution. That is, a solution that would threaten the very survival of the state of Israel. I said we have to change the terms because right now we have to get the Palestinians to go back to the negotiating table, break their pact with Hamas, and accept the idea of a Jewish state. And I think that's what the international community should be focused on.
In the wake of your statements earlier this week, however, President Obama, he apparently sees a difference because he's now reportedly saying that he sees no path to a peace agreement and is threatening to abandon Israel at the United Nations, which would reverse decades of history. What would that mean for Israel?
Well, I hope that's not true, and I think President Obama has said time and time again, as I've said, that the only path to a peace agreement is an agreement, a negotiated agreement. You can't impose it. In any case, you have to get the international community to press on the Palestinians to go back on their unity pact with the terrorist Hamas and come back to the table. I think that you can't force the people of Israel, who've just elected me by a wide margin, to bring them peace and security. To secure the state of Israel, to accept terms that would endanger the very survival of the state of Israel. I don't think that's the direction of American policy. I hope it's not, and I look forward to working with President Obama to see how we could advance our interests, our common interest, in the most difficult circumstances in the world, in the most dangerous region in the world. And what I said before 6 years ago about the conditions necessary for achieving peace is 10 times more relevant today, when the entire Middle East is being swept by these radical Islamic terrorist forces backed by Iran. We need to talk together and see how we can work together to advance security and peace.
The AP is reporting today that the draft nuclear deal would force Iran now to cut its centrifuges that could be used to make a nuclear bomb by 40%, from 10,000 to 6,000. Washington originally wanted a limit of 500. Are we conceding too much?
Well, I spoke in Congress a couple of weeks ago, and I said that we need a better deal, a different deal, because this deal would leave Iran with sufficient capability. 6,000 centrifuges enables them to break out to a bomb very quickly. If I had my druthers, if Israel had a seat on the table, I would say 0 centrifuges. But I don't have a seat on the table, and if I can impress on the negotiating partners, I would say what our Arab neighbors say. Get a symbolic number, and 6,000 is certainly not symbolic. That's an agreement we wouldn't like, but we could live with. I said literally. Second thing is, you impose restrictions on Iran's nuclear program. don't lift them in a specified time, but after you see that Iran actually changed its behavior, that it stops its aggression in the region, stops being the world's foremost practitioner of terror, and stop threatening to annihilate the state of Israel. These are the two changes that we would make. Increase the restrictions on Iran's nuclear capabilities, so you increase the breakout time, and don't lift those restrictions until Iran stops fomenting terrorism and aggression and stops calling for Israel's destruction. That's the right deal.
You suggested to the U.S. Congress that the better deal that we should strike would be Iran totally eliminating its entire nuclear program. And Secretary Kerry came out and said that's basically demanding capitulation, complete capitulation by Iran, and it will lead to no deal whatsoever. Is that even arguably a realistic demand?
Well, I just said that we think a much better deal can be done, and that a further, much bigger constriction on Iran's nuclear program is possible, because Iran, while very aggressive abroad, is economically weakened at home because of the sanctions regime that could be maintained or even increased, and because of the drop in oil prices. So, you got them to the table only after you applied a couple of years ago biting sanctions. That's what got them to the negotiations in the first place. And as long as you had toothless sanctions, they just disregarded everything. But the minute they thought their economy would collapse, and that's happened in the last few years because of the tough sanctions that were imposed by the United States and by President Obama with our encouragement and support, that got them to the table. Now don't take the foot off the brake. Just keep on pressing. I think that's possible, and especially because of the drop in oil. So I think there's a lot of leverage that the United States can use on Iran, and I hope it uses it, because right now succumbing to this deal would get Iran an easy path to the bomb, and that would happen not by violating the deal, but by keeping the deal. In a few years, that would endanger the entire Middle East. You'd have a nuclear arms race that would be sparked here by other countries. And I think you'd have a great danger for the United States and the world when the world's foremost practitioner of terrorism has atomic weapons. It's not a good deal.
You in running for re-election this week, you urged your supporters to get out and vote, warning that you were in danger, your party was in danger, because, quote, the Arabs are voting in droves. And some called that racist. The White House came out and said that you were divisive and that you tried to marginalize Arab Israelis. Do you regret those comments?
That's just not true, because what I said should be taken in the larger context. I warned of foreign money coming in to selectively put out, just try to bring out supporters of a list that includes Islamists and other factions that oppose the state of Israel. This list was supported by Hamas. I'm very proud of the fact that Israel's policy, and my policy, is to be the prime minister of all Israelis, Arabs and Jews alike. I've been funding billions into the Arab communities to upgrade their infrastructure and to better integrate them into the Israeli economy, technology, every walk of life. And the right of every citizen in Israel, Jew and non-Jew alike, to vote is sacrosanct. I wasn't trying to suppress a vote. I was trying to get out my vote against those who were targeting foreign money that was coming in to target a specific group to bring down my
American
government.
Money?
I was calling my voters international money all over the place.
But do you think there was a question about whether America worked against you, about President Obama, the White House, in the election?
Well,
do you think that happened?
Individual donors from Europe, the United States, and Latin America, the answer is yes. I wasn't talking about that. And I'm looking forward. I'm not looking to the past. But I want to make it clear. My policy, I've been raised as I would call it as someone who believes in equal opportunity. I deeply believe that. And I've acted that way. 10 days ago, I called on Arab supporters of Likud. I met them in the north of the country, and I said, look, there's going to be this effort, foreign-funded effort, to get the votes for that party, and I want you to be ready for that. And get out the vote when that happens. That's what I was referring to. And you'd be surprised. We got a lot of Arab votes. I'd like to have more. But I consider myself as the prime minister of all Israelis, those who voted for me and those who didn't vote for me. Arabs, Jews, those Arabs who voted for me and those Arabs who didn't vote for me. The same with the Jews who voted for me and those who didn't vote for me. That's my policy. It always was my policy. And Israel remains the one country in the Middle East where Arabs can vote freely in free and fair elections. That's sacred. That will stay. And my policy will stay as well.
And my last question, sir. What does it mean to you personally to wake up each day knowing that Israel's enemies' stated goal is to destroy the people and the country that you love?
Well, first of all, let me tell you that I woke up this day, and it's a lot better. A day after the election is a lot better than a day before the election, especially if you win. That's the first point on this particular day, obviously. But I wasn't just elected because of any personal desires. I was elected because the vast majority, a very strong majority of the people of Israel want me to lead the country in the realistic and what they consider the responsible way that we've been leading it in a Middle East that is so dangerous and becoming increasingly so. So they want to make sure that Israel is safe and secure, and that's my obligation. But I can tell you what I was once asked, what's the difference between the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel? And I said, Megan, that the President of the United States, I believe, is always concerned about the security of the United States. But the Prime Minister of Israel, and I can speak personally, of the 9 years that I've been in office, there's not been a day that I haven't thought about the things I have to do to protect the survival of Israel. And that's a difference. We're the country that is most threatened with destruction around the world. And it's my responsibility to ensure that this state, the one and only Jewish state, lives forever. And that's a big burden, but that's why I'm here. That's why I was elected.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you so much for your time. All the best, sir. Congratulations.